Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your Human Design Evolution Report. As you can see, I'm still in Colorado, enjoying what for me is frankly a really rare week of rest and respite and renewal. And it really is important for me. It's been a really powerful week to think about the concept of rest and renewal for two reasons. Number one, it's important for me to walk my talk. And any of you who've listened to the evolution reports, or if you follow me on any of my free webinars and teachings that I do, you know that the number one thing that I always talk about is burnout. And when we talk about burnout, particularly in the context of some of the energies that we're working with right now, burnout is a huge, huge thing. And if we're not consciously and deliberately taking care of ourselves on a very regular basis, we put ourselves in the position of potentially burning ourselves out. And what I'm going to say is this. I've been a life coach for 27 years. I've been a life coach for so long that when I started life coaching, we didn't have a word for it yet, okay? In the 27 years that I've worked with people, I will tell you that the number one reason why businesses fail, the number one reason why, if you're using the law of attraction and you're trying to deliberately create something and it's not working, the number one reason why relationships grow apart, the number one reasons why you may physically not feel vital and juicy about your life, the number one reason why your life may not be the purest reflection of the potential and the possibility of who you really are is one thing, and it's burnout. And burnout can come from a lot of different areas. It can come from, if you're very sensitive, being overexposed perhaps to the energies of what's going on the planet right now. If you are getting emotionally raw from reading the news or watching whatever's going on in social media, if you're constantly being bombarded energetically with energy that feels negative and depressing and maybe leaves you feeling out of control, that can burn you out. If you're doing work you hate and you can't figure out a way to either be aligned with it and see it as a blessing for providing you support, or you can't figure out how to get out of it, you're going to burn out. If you're overworking, particularly if you're overworking because you're being motivated by a fear of lack, you think you don't have enough money, enough recognition, enough love, enough power, enough worthiness, if anything that's driving your life is coming from any kind of an energy of lack, you're going to burn out. And of course, if you're living a life that's not authentic, if you're wearing a mask and not being true to who you are, and you're not lining those two things up, it can really burn you out. And when we get burned out, we repel. Or rather, I don't think we repel, because I don't think people repel, but we don't attract into our reality things that we think would get us out of the mess that we're in. We think, oh, I'm going to create another job over here, or I'm going to find this better job or this better situation. We go on this quest for this thing out here to resolve our burnout, when in fact the real source of renewal and rest and revitalization and ultimately alignment comes from giving yourself permission to take a pause, to take a break, to rest and restore yourself. The energy we're working with this week, the sun is in the energy of the 15. It's extreme. The 15 can be extremes. Now, this energy is a powerful energy. It's the energy that, through the extremes of circumstances, ultimately can bring us together, can unite us in nurturing and loving and fellowship for each other. The energy of the 15, think about this. Think about an extreme event like an extreme natural event like a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake. When people are hurt in extreme events, we come together as people to take care of and nurture each other. So when this energy is at play, in the highest expression, we're all asking ourselves, how can I do more for the world? How can I make a contribution that increases the potential for peace and well-being and love for the people on this planet? And I think, frankly, that's the most important question we should be asking ourselves every day. What is the greatest place of service I can be? How can I best serve the world? And remember that service is first and foremost you being true to yourself. And then secondly, you can't be of service if you're burned out. You can't contribute if you yourself are frazzled or fried. So making sure before you commit to a martyrdom model, which is what happens when you compromise yourself and you burn yourself out and then you try to keep giving because you've got something to prove, or you feel like nothing is going to change unless you affect it. Everything can change. Everything can get better when you are in a place of vitalized, restored, renewed energy. When you're not burned out, you can get a heck of a lot more done. You can be a lot more effective. You can do a lot more in the world. So even though you may get triggered by the events around you, even though you may feel powerless in the face of the extreme, this is a wake-up call for you to make sure that before you go out and serve the world, that you are taking care of yourself first, so that you can come back from that place of restoration and renewal, from that vitalized place of impact and power. So the energy of extremes is playing. Our Earth is transiting through the 10, which is the energy of self-love, but it can also be blame and selfishness. So the energies this week can be really edgy. We have the potential to be activated into blame and extreme events that can be harmful or hurtful to humanity. Low expression. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not predicting anything bad is going to happen, but I'm saying that's the vibe right now. Blaming each other, slipping into victim consciousness, falling into a mindset of extreme blaming, extreme victimhood, or feeling that our way to empower ourselves is to take that blame energy and to sling it back at someone else in maybe even an extreme and hurtful way. These are the low expressions of these energies. We have the opportunity with the consciousness that we have to greet these energies as a pushing off point for us to go, okay, there's extreme things. There are extreme things happening on this planet. And when we look at this planet and the things and the events on this planet, what mindset, what awareness, what consciousness, what place of love do we need to come from in order for us to affect real change? This energy is part of what's called the incarnation cross of the vessel of love. It's an energy that happens 4 times a year. There are 4 creative cycles in the year. And in the human design year, in the midst of each creative cycle, we pause in the middle of the cycle and meet with the vessel of love. We have the opportunity 4 times a year to recalibrate on a deep and fine level, recalibrate ourselves with the energy of love, with the potential of love, with the potential of transformation that's rooted in love. So if we're going to create a world of sustainable peace, if we're going to create a world of sustainable resources, if we're going to create a world where love wins, we have to first and foremost love ourselves so that when we go out and take action, we're not acting from a place of emptiness and lack. And number 2, we have to greet extremes from a place of vitalized energy. We have to be restored and renewed ourselves so that we can go back out and with sustenance ourselves in a sustainable and peaceful way, greet the events of the day and use them as the pushing off point for the evolution of the world. So, take care of yourself this week. Be mindful of anything that's extreme. Take a step back before you react. Take a breath. Slip into that place of love. Ask yourself, where do you need to recalibrate with love in any area of your life? Bring yourself back to that midpoint. And then take the action that you need to take to help create this world, this beautiful world in the way we know in our hearts, the way we're calibrated in the inner awareness of our being, the way we know it can be. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves.